No, anyway, this is part two of what I got interrupted with my husband coming in here, and I don't know how to pause it where I can continue on in photo booth. I have no idea. So anyway, I then forgot where I was talking about. Anyways, oh, the Sophie's Universe. Yeah, or any other pattern that I think I want to try and looks awesome. I should just get the colors I want for it and do it. And then if it's a flop, and I decide to not do it, I can unwind the yarn and then I have new scrap yarn. I don't know. I think it puts a lot of pressure on me if I do, just like when I do something because somebody wants me to make them something. It puts a lot of pressure on me to do it, so it's not fun, I don't think, just to me. And then I'm anxious when I'm doing it instead of just calming and enjoying the process. With my scrap ones, I know they're going to wind up being for me or family because they're scraps and no color. No color sequence or color combo, but I don't know. I finished a blanket for a friend that was purple and yellow for some, I think it was LSU ball team colors. And I really wanted to add some white in between because I think it would have helped. But they said, no, just purple and yellow. I got so sick of purple and yellow because it was a virus blanket that fit like a queen size bed. And yep, as soon as I gave it to them, they were like, oh, you're right. Having a little white in there would have kind of broke it up a little bit. But they still paid for it and they still whatever. But I hate, being on there like that. I made a skull crochet square blanket for a friend's daughter for her birthday. But I didn't really feel, it had a deadline because her birthday's around Halloween, but I don't know, close enough friend that I didn't feel that pressured, I guess. The other person was just really an acquaintance that I met at the gym. So it felt beautiful to be perfect and stuff, so I don't know. I made a purple and white one for me one time, and then I ended up donating it to a church for their raffle or whatever. And it was the wool eater one. And it was so beautiful. But probably won't do that one again. I think they did that one right after the Sophie's Universe one when I was on energized, but I found that one and I actually said I'm going to do this purple and white, period. But, oh well, we live a night, we learn. I like my scrap blankets or my ugly blankets, so to speak, because nobody can replicate them at all, ever. No matter how hard they would try, because some of them are little teeny tiny. On my scrap blankets, it's little teeny tiny scrap. So to get that little short piece of color there, and I change color whenever the yarn runs out, not making sure I go end to end. Now I've got some other ones that you could call scrap blankets because they're not matchy match. But I'm using like new yarn, and I'm going at least one or two rows, and then I change. To me, it's scrap because it's not matchy match. It's just what if the color I think looks pretty, or I try to, not make it like really, I want it to contrast, but I don't want it to be like just so out there that like you have a piece of fluorescent orange in the middle of something and never have it again or something. So I just don't like trying to match. And that's in my clothes. I can't match clothes. I just wear what I like, and that's just me. So I'm going to cross with my single crochet. Now this is the front side. What am I going to do? And see, and I hate the way the single crochets kind of look like that when it's a different color comes in. I'm like, that side would look better as the front because it doesn't have that extra here, but with this being that color changing yarn, I don't really have control over that unless I want to cut it and stuff. that's not the point of my blanket. So maybe I've also been doing some herringbone. Maybe I'll put a herringbone in there. Take away from that single crochet what it's doing. I think that's what I'll do. Well, let's get this first stitch. Yeah, I do a herringbone across now, which I think is called the half double crochet herringbone because I only pull through that. I wrap it and put it in there, and then I pull through the chain, and then I pull through just one hook, and then I pull through two. I like that one better than the double crochet one where you pull through again. So every time I do this one, I can't ever remember, am I doing the half or am I doing the other one? So sometimes I get in there and I pull through an extra stitch like the double crochet one. I have to pull it out and check every once in a while, but it doesn't look right. And I got loom projects, and here's my true scrappy scrap blanket. See, there's just no rhyme or reason. I just keep pulling. Like, you can see I had a lot of yellow scraps, but they were for different projects, but I had just little balls rolled up. There's a lot of yellow in that one, but then there's that bright pink too. But I have to get more scraps to work on that. I don't have any more short scraps, I just have big balls. So I work on that, and then if I have just a little bit left over after completing my rows, then I can add it to the scrap and work on that one for a while after I get a significant ball. And then the loom one is the one that's easiest on my hands and arms. My arms are numb all the time from the stroke. And so I like doing it, but it don't go as fast as crochet. That's why I've kind of gotten a new appreciation for crochet, because that's the very first yarn craft I learned was crochet. Way back when I was like 17. My mother-in-law at that time taught me. Yeah, I got married at 17. Crazy me. And then when I had my first kid, I wanted to make her a blanket, so I tried and tried, and everything was always uneven. I could never get them ends lined up, so I ended up chaining one and then double crocheting 5 on the end, just so I could make those holes line up. And that was how I made my very first blanket. And so then I finally caught on how to, crochet into the chain 3. Now I don't chain 3 very often. I usually do that trick where you single crochet into the stitch, and then you single crochet into that side of the stitch to make it the height of either a half or a double crochet. Sometimes that gets me off kilter too, and my count for my stitches don't come up right sometimes. I don't know if it's like end up crocheting into that end thing twice, or I don't know. So I still have to really watch it. But at least it does keep from having those holes at the end. That if I was to chain 3 here, see, there's no both just chains with nothing. It's all got material in there. So it works for the ends. But my ends are never like perfectly uniform anyway. I don't know. I've seen very few people, but it's so perfectly when it does. You can always put a border on it, but I don't do borders unless I absolutely have to. I hate doing borders. Because, it's kind of like sewing in ends, your blanket's done. You want it to just be done without a border, or just like sewing in the ends, you get it all done, you're proud of it, oh, I gotta go back to sewing all those ends. That sucks. did do a picot or picket, whatever, stitch border one time, and it is beautiful. But oh my gosh, it takes a lot of time. And then I also did one where you like chain one color and then you chained another color, one went under, one went over, and you did that all the way across it. Single crochet, chain, single crochet. Then you had the other color and you would take it under it and it looked like double arches. It's beautiful, but I don't want to have to do that a lot either. You know, if I was selling my blankets and making enough, decent, I would, go for that. But, everybody wants a crocheted blanket or a knitted blanket or whatever, but they don't really want to pay what, I've tried just to charge people, I say, hey, as long as you pay for the yarn that I put into it. That can be expensive too, and now people don't realize that. So I got to gift it to people I like, these people that want to buy one, they never really do. I've had a couple. I had one friend from work actually. It was a teacher I worked with that wanted to buy a blanket. I don't know if he thought I was just going to give it to him or not. But he sure squawked when I told him how many skeins of yarn I used and how much they were. And he just threw a little baby fit. I don't know, it's for his very first niece that was born. And he just, I was done. So people don't have to even sell it to you. So I actually decided, well, tough. I'm done. I'm not giving it to you. I'm not, you want to be a butt about it, make it yourself. And then there was a girl that was like over here and all that. She was like, I'll buy it from you for $50 because, it was huge blanket and it was all done in Tunisian crochet. And I had, hearts in it. I mean, it just, I even regret selling that one because it was way bigger than a baby blanket, and it would have been. Because I don't think I'll ever Tunisian crochet again, because that really hurts my arm and my shoulder and my elbow. But I do have a nice set of Tunisian nail. Maybe I will. But I don't want to mess with that curl, so I'd probably end up only doing the honeycomb stitch or a rib stitch or something like that. This one had a lot of simple stitch in it, but it had honeycomb and it had, it had lots of different stitches in it. For both, to make the heart on it and everything. So, and I made it with Pound of Love, which is a little bit thinner than DK 4-weight yarn. It was really soft. I think it's from Lion Brand, I'm for sure. I'm on Pound of Love, I think. And it was a very light purple. And it was pretty. I'm sure I have a picture of it somewhere. If I think about it, I'll try to post it. Because it comes up on my memories every once in a while, and that's when I start regretting never selling them or giving them to people. I think I'll never do that again. And I've done Tunisian 10 stitches. Some of them turn out good, some of them are like, I don't know what I think. I had one that was like white and teal and a light purple. I really liked it, and it comes up on my memories too. Man, it was very time consuming. I can't usually crochet or do that kind of stuff for non-stop every chance I get, because not that I don't have that time, because I do right now, because school hasn't started yet. School starts, I have to go back to work. But because my arm just starts getting to the point where it's so numb, it just hurts terrible bad. It's fine right now, but later on today it tried so many different needles. This is a Clover Amour, I think. Amour is what it's called. I first thought it was going to be something I didn't like because it hit right there in my palm and it would wear. And it does. I can feel it a little bit. But I bought Furls hooks, the Streamline and the Odyssey 2s. Some I like better than others. The plastic ones I don't like. I bought a Tulip. I bought a Clover Soft Touch. I mean, I bought and to have with the ergonomic grips, help thinking that would help the numbing. And really, this Amour one is fine, or just a regular plain on boil works just as well. So I bought expensive crochet hooks for no reason, really. I've never had fancy crochet hooks, and I've done crochet for years and years and years. But I thought, okay, I'm gonna splurge myself, and everybody's raving about it, so I'm gonna check them out. I mean, I make myself use them because, you know, don't I spent that kind of money on it, I'm gonna use them. So they're kind of cats, causing trouble. They take getting used to. But if I want to sit down and just crochet fast and try to get stuff done, I'm just going to get my Clover Amour or a boy hook, regular, without any ergonomic thing on the boy hook, and be done with that. I do like Susan Bates because I like the way you can jab better with them, the inline of them. But you know, I've always bought, when I taught myself to knit, you know, I did get the good knitting needles after I tried straight ones, you know. Then I got the interchangeable sets, and I liked the birchwood ones from like Knit Picks or Knit Pro. But recently I've also gotten the fancy dancy ones, the Lukey, but it's spelled L-I-K-K-E. I've gotten them. There's nothing fancy about them, and the wooden ones really suck. But the other one, I mean, really, they don't have memory-free needles. I mean, they're not as bad. They swivel and everything, but they're alright. And Chia Goos are probably the best ones if you like metal hooks. I just prefer the wood, and you just can't find the good wood ones anymore, which the last good new wood ones I got was like Knit Pro or Knit Picks. I don't even remember which. But I only need certain sizes because I don't usually knit with under a size 5, and I don't knit over a size 10 or 11. So I don't need all those. And so I got a bunch of those fancy sets, and I'll never use some of those because there's no way. And you know, the cords and the Chia Goo are best because they really are memory free. They try to say the ones in the wood sets are, but they're not. They're just swivel, and they're not free, but they're a little stiffer. But they're definitely not the Chia Goo. I haven't knit for a while. I got knit projects on the go too, but it doesn't go as fast, so I don't think it's worth the pain in the elbow and stuff. I do have one thing I'll finish eventually, hopefully before I croak. Easiest way to say it. One of those memory miter square blankets. But most people do those with like sock yarn and tiny needles. I did mine with DK yarn. And I've got a good start on one, but I've been working on that for a couple of years now, and I get bored with that knitting, and you know, and I have to start doing something else. But just here this summer, man, I got right back into crochet because I was liking how fast things are doing. I was doing a lot of looming too, and if I was just sticking to looming all day, especially with chunky yarn, I could get a blanket knocked out of there pretty fast too. And there's different stitches you can do on the loom too. You don't just have to do the E-wrap or the U-wrap. There's lots of different ones. I follow Deborah Shaw. I can always blend in with her different stitches. Some are too lacy for me because most generally the things I'm going to make on loom are either hats or a blanket. And I want both of those fairly dense without holes, not lacy. So, and do I get any? Okay, I got a loom on an infinity loop from Cindy Wood, that S-shaped thing, and it's a 7/16, so I got DK yarn, or like a 3-iron even. That, I think if I took it off right now, I might have the width for a scarf or a shawl, probably a shawl. And I don't know, I'm just going to keep it on there so that I just don't want to take it off and then wish I had left it on, so. And I do have some I've added to needles that I've taken off a loom. I got all kinds of stuff up there, and that ain't even half of, I mean, I got stuff in my bucket, drawers. You think I have clothes in all these drawers? Nope. So, I need to get some organization, get some shelves, and since this is basically just my room. My husband has his own room because he snores crazy, so I can girlify and yarnify this room up. It won't matter. He very rarely is in here visiting me. Right now I'm a little ticked off that he's out there doing, I don't know, watching the ball game, but he got cranky with me earlier, so I quit talking to him for the day. Moved in together for 26 years now, so it just happens. Not like it's a serious fight or anything, but just to let him know I'm mad at him because he's cranky, and I'm here all day because I don't work in the summer. And then he comes home and I'm wanting to have conversations, and he's wanting to catch up on social media. He's wanting to watch some stupid Living Dead crap, or and I feel like he don't want to spend no time with me sometimes. Now when I go back to work, it'll all pan out because we'll both be tired at the end of the day and have, few word conversations before we go to bed at night. And since I had my stroke, I think it's been worse because I have limitations in expecting wanting to do things for me. And anybody who hasn't had a stroke doesn't get it. You just get tired quicker, and me, I'm glad I can walk, but I do lose my balance. I do have to use an assisted device sometimes. And I just don't think people understand because they don't live it. And I'm tired of explaining myself and saying, hey, you don't understand, just like my memory. People don't understand. And I just stop caring about explaining myself, I just want to shake people by the shoulders sometimes and say, I had a stroke. What is your excuse? Because, I may not work in the summers, but I work a full-time job during the school. And anybody that's working in the school system, that's not an easy job. I work with special needs kids as well. So, a specialized para, and I'm a retired nurse. I still have an active license, but I think this year, next renewal, I'm just going to either put it on inactive or just let it expire. Because at my age, 60, and the physical limitations I got, I probably will never be able to work as a nurse. I thought about, clinic, maybe I could do it, but that being close quarters, if I got bumped into, I'd lose my balance, and maybe I'm not sharp mentally wise to be, because I have my license in good stance, never had no issues. I don't want to have that be an issue because I write down the wrong med, or I don't know. A clinic would be good. I worked at the health department in a different town for a while. I loved that job. I was the epidemiology coordinator, so every time they had a full foodborne illness, I got to investigate that, and that was very interesting. And it was in an office, and it was, so I think physically I could do that because that's as much as I do at the school too. as long as I can sit down for little breaks in between. I couldn't be on the floor 12 hours a day just back and forth on the floor because when I worked 12 hours as an RN, I never sat down. I was lucky if I could sit down for a 15-minute break to eat something. So I'm kind of bummed by that, but then again, I am 60. I'm the age that I used to brag when other nurses would work at that age and they were losing it. So I don't want to be that particular person. I thought I could be a consultant on stuff, but I'd probably have to do a little bit more schooling for that. And then since I got my nursing license back in 1996, that may make me take things over if I wanted to continue advancing to a master's degree or something, for where I could do clinicals. I'd like to do. That probably was my dream, is to be a clinical instructor, because when I worked as a nurse and we had the students come and they would have one of your patients or whatever, and they always asked me why on certain things, and it made me have to think to be able to tell them, and I love that because it helped me also, because nurses and whoever gets so what's the word I'm looking for? So routine. It's just because we do, just because we give that medicine slow. It's just because we give that medicine fast. But to have to think about what is the real reason, and to have to, explain that to a student, it keeps you sharp. Why are we doing it that way? I don't know. We just done it for years, is what people would say. Done it that way for years. Well, I hated that, comment. And so I actually liked it when we had the students because they kept me sharp. I felt like I was helping them learn from my experience, and I wish I would have had nurses that did that for me when I was in nursing school. But they were always so busy doing their stuff. They were just, here's your patient, go see your instructor. And, I just liked that part of it, and so it's kind of weird that I'm in a para now too. I only planned on being a para for 1 year, and I was going to go back to nursing. But let me tell you, I liked it so much. Felt appreciated by kids, adults not always, but and that keeps me sharp too, helping the kids with math or helping them with this or that or history or whatever. It's helped me in that way, so and then I had no, I didn't have to write IIPs like I had to write care plans. I didn't have to, do any of that kind of stuff. Just help the kids and, do it. Yeah. So I've stayed, and I've been there 15 years now. It's 2011. I started in the middle of the school year. I applied in December, got hired in December, and then of course during the Christmas break I started in January. So it was getting ready to turn 12, so as of this coming up January, it'll be exactly 15 full years. And when I retire or leave there, so I've had that job longer than any actual job because I did a lot of travel nursing, so I was never in any one particular nurse thing for 15 years. But this one is, and it's like my second home. There's issues with staff, there's issues with students, there's a lot of stress when kids have, outbursts or meltdowns or whatever. But it's got way more rewards on most occasions. Sometimes you don't feel like it, but the kids are so, even after they've gotten out of you, told you they hated you or thrown something at you or done whatever, the next day it's a new day, and that's how I want to live my life. Today's a new day. I was mad at you yesterday, but here we got a fresh start. Every minute, every day is a chance to start new. And the kids understand that about me. They know what my expectations are. And I mean, I just have a different way of approaching them sometimes too than others do. Nobody's right or wrong. It's just what your personality is and the bond you have with kids. Anyway, let's go on about that. So, I really think I'm probably going to work on this all day. But I need to get a drink, so I'm going to get it there. My drink, I did not bring it over here. So, I need to get a drink. My doggies and my cat is taking a nap on the bed. Right, Ozzy, you taking a nap now? My cat's name is Orion, and my dog's name is Ozzy. Yes, after the Ozzy Osbourne, but he's like gonna be 4 years old, so. And my husband is a diehard Ozzy fan. And I wanted the dog, and he said we didn't need a dog. And I thought if I named him something, his hero, that maybe he would be okay with me getting the dog. It worked. It did, but he's my dog. I mean, he sleeps with me. I do the take caring of him. I get him to the vet. I wanted another corgi when we moved to the house we bought, but a friend of mine's daughter, or a friend of mine, taught me into getting one of her daughter's dog, which is a Sheltie, that most people considered a miniature collie, but it's not. He got a big dog. He's like twice as big as Ozzy's, taller than Ozzy. He weighs twice as much as Ozzy. And when I got him, I said, "Oh, look, they're short-legged. They won't get much bigger than a corgi." Right. The dog bumps into me with his big wide butt and knocks me over. Yeah, corgi's a lot of work though. They got a lot of energy. Right, Ozzy? You got a lot of energy. And the Sheltie's at least a little more mellow and kind of laid back. Yeah, I love them both. The other dog is more of Jeff's dog, because I had already bonded with Ozzy, and Chelsea's name is Cinder. Now, what stitch do I want to do now? I think I will do the Suzette stitch for a bit. And that is just a single crochet, double crochet, skip one, single crochet, double crochet, all the way to the end. But when you get to the end, when you skip that you go down 2 stitches, you just skip 1 stitch, and then you just single crochet in the first stitch, or the last stitch, and then you turn around and start over again. So this one you do in the very first stitch, single double, skip 1, single double. That's how you start it, but you always end it with just a single crochet. I just learned this stitch, actually. I've always seen it, but I never ever looked at it to see really what it was. It was just like any other stitch kind of thing, but now it's fast. To me, it's fast. It's a dense stitch. Sometimes I'm concerned about the stitch count, with it starting with 2 and ending with the 1, and sometimes I end up with 3 at the end, and then I end up just skipping 1 single crochet, double crochet, and then I'll single crochet in the end. Sometimes I've just skipped 1 and then single crocheted the last 2. And it seemed to come out okay, but it could be confusing, and I just wish sometimes when people think that, because I don't see any of them Suzette stitches, and I haven't looked at all of them that people have put on there. Nobody ever says anything about a stitch count. It's almost like you can have any, odd or even, it don't matter, but I don't know. Seems like sometimes my counts don't come out right, and sometimes they do. And I feel like I should start working on something else so you can see like my mood or something, but I'm just kind of enjoying doing this one. Like I said, I got 3 more skeins of yarn, and it's the bulky yarn. Let's see what I do with that yarn label, because I just wanted to see how much yardage was in here. I must have tossed it already. Yeah, I'll just look on the next one and see. But this is actually 80% acrylic and 20% merino wool. So it's definitely going to be nice and warm. And I think it said super washing. Well, I hope so. See, I definitely need to see one of those labels to make sure. I'll get that in a little bit. I'm going to do a couple of rows of the Suzette stitch before I worry too much about it. I saved the loom anymore lately within the last month or so for like doing it at night where I can just sit up on the bed and do that. I don't have to think too hard with the loom. I don't have to think too hard with crochet, but the loom, I got one of those big oval ones. That's the one I'm working on now. And like I sit here and the reach is through to my feet. And it's up here, so I just gotta manipulate it different, especially on the bed. And this S one is a pain because you can't hardly flip over those back pegs, the yarn on, because the circle part, you gotta get your hand up in there. But yeah, it's something I almost have to sit, and I do a lot of times sit at the card table and work on it, so I have the right angle, because something like that is just too hard to sit in your like reclining position or anything to do it, or just in your lap or whatever. Sometimes it's really hard to see like the stitch on here and the patterning or whatever, because I started doing something else. I don't know what I was gonna do I started doing the herringbone for whatever reason. There's that. I wonder if I did that back there on those other ones. I'm just gonna rip it out a while, because not that far out. Yeah, that one's far. Okay, so I'll do it over here. Sometimes you just never know. And with this one, it's a single crochet. Good one, single crochet, double crochet. I have another one that I do. I think it's a Mikey one. I don't even know what it's called. That's the one that does these small bubbles, and that's you single crochet in one stitch, then the next stitch you treble crochet, and you do that all the way across, and it pops them out on the opposite side this way. So you need to be working on the front side when you do that, or the back side. It'll pop out on the right side. I don't know. I've messed up and done front stitches where they should be on the back, and vice versa. But like I said, to me this one is a reversible one, whatever, because it doesn't look bad on either side. But there'll be one preferred side for sure that's got more of the detail patterns and stitches on it, though, for sure. Like I said, this isn't my ball game that I'm watching. Texas Rangers, I think, just got a home run or something. Oh wow, Texas 7 and Seattle's 2. That's good. I'm sure my husband's out there happy, even though I haven't heard him hoopla on, so he's probably working on his video editing for his YouTube thing. He does something about rock radio and does, rock legends, birthdays, or dates of death, and I don't know. He does some weird stuff with it. And it doesn't have to be that people that died like just that day or whatever. He does it from happy birthday to this person that however they've been dead since 2007. I don't know if that's my thing or not, but he's doing it. I don't know. And there's only one out, and Rangers are up the bat, so that's good. So just continuing the Suzette stitch here. I think I'm gonna do more rows of it because usually I get bored with it after a couple rows, but I'm gonna try to do a bigger section of that and see how it looks to me, if it's as pretty or nice looking as it is just ease of crocheting it. But just doing one stitch regardless of what it is, it's boring to me. That's why I just jump on the bandwagon when someone has done a stitch sampler blanket. I love those, but there's just not too many people that do them, and I've watched some of them recently that, there's have this stitch count, but then later on they decrease or they increase, trying to keep their size or whatever. I want one that's just going to work with whatever count they have. I don't want to put any other stitches in there that I got to decrease or increase, because that just messes with the edge no matter how hard you try. So, and I'll never come up with a pattern on my own to write out a pattern or anything. Now, there's lots of times I just start changing like I am here. I don't see no real bad, and I don't count every row or anything, but after a while I'll count and have a simple stitch going across or something, just to see if I'm still in line with what my stitch count started out. I think this one was 150 is what I had on this one, and with the chunky yarn now, it's 150 chains in DK wouldn't be this long, just because with thicker yarn and stuff makes it wider, so it's plenty wide enough. And I don't know if I'm hoping I get some more yarn of this kind, but it took so long to get this, they had to send a replacement, so maybe I can get the one that they lost supposed to show up. That would be cool. Otherwise, I just don't know where else to get that yarn at, because I got it from yarn.com, the web, whatever. It's what I've always ordered from, and this was the first time that I had such an issue with it. Got a message from the website or the customer service saying that they were didn't know, but they were extremely busy at this point in time for whatever reason. I don't know. Summertime maybe? I don't know. But they did send me a replacement, and that's what I'm working on now. So, and the other one still shows it's out there in the post office somewhere. So I don't know. They should probably send it back, but it comes here and send it back. I'm keeping it. I will email that girl and tell her it finally showed up or whatever, but if they want to charge me back for it, I don't really care. But since it took so long, they should compensate me somehow, I think. Besides just replacement, they should let me have the extra yarn or something. Because I ordered that on July 3rd and I just now got it. And it come from from Missouri, and I'm in Kansas. Just don't think it should have took uh, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They got it yesterday, the day before, and that was the replacement one. So that's why I like to order things off of Amazon. They get here quick. You have an Amazon membership, then you get those free too. But they're just more expensive on Amazon to begin with. Michaels doesn't take too terrible long because our closest Michaels, if they have it in stock, is in Wichita. About 45-minute drive or so. I think it's like 50 miles to the actual store or something. But every time I went to the actual store, it's over there, the side of town that's preferable for me to come in on, they don't have much yarn at all. People are saying that they're, reinventing their craft for yarn arts and stuff, but I haven't had enough. So I'm gonna drive that far, I better by God find some yarn. And I'm just been disappointed, so why go out there in this heat and stuff? And I can order online. And I know how most of Michael's yarns feel and quality and thickness and stuff, so all I gotta do is choose. Mainly the thing I used to get was like the Karen cakes, but I'm kinda over the Karen cakes now. I still got 3 Karen cakes up there, and I ordered a color that I thought was more bluish. Turns out it's more grayish. Different variegated grays, and it's not very pretty. So I've started a couple projects on it, ripped them out, and I like more of the pretty colors. So I haven't really ordered from Michaels for very long, very much, because I started ordering from Mary Maxim and that yarn.com because I was looming, and looming works so much better with chunky yarn. Because I use a 5/8 gauge loom, and I liked it better because the 7/16, those projects were taking forever. I've got several 7/16 big Afghan looms. One that's a circle one, which I can finish one on it. It's not too bad, but it does take a while. And I don't feel like I ever get it long enough. Then I got one that it's not a straight one, but it goes around. It's straight, and then it barely goes around, so I need to stop and go back, so you can make it like double the length of the size of the length of the loom. That was kind of a pain because you have the same problem with having to move it around on your lap, and it's so long. So the one thing I started doing on the looms right away when I first got them, that's why I got the small looms, was hats. And hats are so much better on a loom. Crochet hats, I'm sorry, but I just don't like them because they're just holy, they're not dense. You can do the single crochet ones, but they just don't, I don't know. I think the ones on the loom and the ones that you needle knit look store-bought. I mean, the stockinette stitch in knitting, and the fact that if you do it with a fixed needle, and you go around and around and you're connecting it, you don't have to do it like one row knit, one row purl. Like on a straight, you can just knit, and it's that way. But then you have to come up with the conclusion, do you want to go top up or top down? And top down's a pain in the rear because you have to start off with like 4 double pointed needles to get that part small enough. But boy, once you get that crown done, it's off to the races. You can just knit, doing, it's mindless. And then when you can get to the ribbing and do like a rib, what's that thing called that, adds start off on the edge, it's okay and everything, but then you gotta figure out, okay, do I need to decrease here? Am I just gonna keep pinning until it's long enough and then do the, cinch method, which sometimes is so bulky, but it's not as nice, and it looks bad on the top with it all bunched up, and you end up having to put like a pom-pom on it. So I actually prefer the top down, for sure. Now I don't know how to do top down in loom, but there's also some videos on knowing how to decrease on the loom to have it a gradual decrease till you get to the top to close it off. So, but you just really, lately I've just been wanting mindless stuff, so that's kind of why I think I'm just doing crocheting, because people used to joke that I could crochet and I only have to look at it, which most of the time I could just feel the stitch, Are you even looking at that, or I definitely can, but I still am obsessed and need to go back and check my stitches sometimes too. But I don't know. I'm getting to the end of this row here, and it worked out right. Oh, yep, it worked out right. Skip one and then just a single crochet in the end. So I got the right number today, this time. And so then we're going to turn back, and in that first single crochet, you're just going to go ahead and single crochet and then double crochet. Skip one. If you're skipping the double crochet and into the single crochet, you're going to go single crochet, double crochet. So on the way back, you know which one that you're skipping, because it's always that double crochet. You go into the single crochet, double crochet. Yeah, I wish these little changes were a little bit longer, but that's that marble book when they're like, this wouldn't even pull, and it wouldn't pull anyway because there's too many different colors in the skein. It doesn't have a pattern like that. It's a really long section of white and grays, and then you have a long section of yellow or whatever. So after you get that first row done, it's pretty easy because you can just sit there and eyeball. You know where to go because you got to skip that double crochet and you just go all the way across. So I think always, in my opinion, that the next row after you get that first zigzag row goes a lot faster. And see, I think if I'd be using a furls hook right now, because those streamline ones are pretty heavy still, and maybe that works for some people and they're arthritic and they need the ergonomic ones, but it makes mine number. And just using this one, I'm not clear numb yet. This is fun for me right now because, and it's only 150 across. Now I'm working on one that's a granny stripe, and it's like it's 300 across. Oh my god, by the time I get across just once, it's tired. And then the other one I got is like 250, 60, something like that. And that one's one I'm doing like as a stitch sampler, and it's the other scrap one I said, but it's not really scrap because I'm not like stopping in the middle. I'm making sure I have enough to go across. Sometimes it's just a couple of rows of that color, sometimes it's not. And I'm doing it like this one where, I'll do a stitch and then do a different stitch and all that. So, and if I was real organized, I would make sure that I did the same stitch in the one color for that little section of strip, but I haven't. I think what it is I start off on a stitch, don't like how it's looking, or it's more exhausting on my arm or something, so I get that row done though, and then go on to something else. So there may just be one row of something, and then I think, nope, ain't doing that one. And then I just go back to double crochet or something. But see, this one I'm enjoying because, like I said, it's only 150 stitches, so I can feel it grow faster than those ones that 250 to 300. My other scrap blanket here, this is the true scrap, is only 166 stuff too. So this is what I should have been doing yesterday. Yesterday I was just pooped and exhausted and felt frustrated because I almost getting so tired, and didn't feel like I was making much progress because they were so long. And I did get the sleeves done on my Hexie Cardi, waiting for the next installment on my cowl along. And I'm pretty sure I know how to do it because we're just going to be adding to the back. I'm pretty sure, but I'm waiting for his instructions so I can do it how he says or see. But I'm going to do a different thing for my cup ribbing. And anybody want to come over and tie in my tails? That'd be great, because I need to tie in my tails. It was so good the first week to tie them all in, just to find out that we shouldn't have tied them in because we had to frog back in order to do the continuous join. So I ended up having to whip stitch mine. So no big deal. This one is I'm using the right color yarn and matchy yarn or whatever, or how they suggest it's cotton. But it's still going to be my practice one because I've never done one before and I just wanted to try it. I got some cotton yarn. I had some here in my stash, and then I did have to order some more because I only had like 3 skeins. And I'm not a small woman, so my cardigan's got bigger. I'm just curious that, because it's basically the 2 hexagons together and then added the sleeves, and so I'm curious if we're going to work on one side with so many repeats and then the other side and then hook them together. That's what I'm figuring. But then I got to keep track of how many rounds or whatever I did, which might not be the easiest thing in the world for me. Well, I'm going to end this video here because I need to go to the bathroom, get a drink, and go out front and see if I can find something to snack on. I will see you again after a bit.